بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Welcome back to my wife. And it turns out today the subject, it fits exactly about that. But Khadijah, the spouse, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. Just briefly recap what we said last time for the brothers and sisters who were not with us last time. We didn't start with the Sahabah's life, but we did an introduction to explain the value and the importance of the Sahaba in our deen, in our faith, and why we studied their life. And we went through the word, how the word of Sahaba came to shape. What does it mean, Sahaba? And the different revelations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the Quran to emphasize the importance of the Sahaba and their virtues and what they have contributed to Islam and all those things. So that was our introduction last time, just to touch base with the Sahaba. And we decided we will start, inshallah, this series with one of the greatest Sahaba. This person turns out to be the first person who accepted the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, supported the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the first person to pray behind him, the first person to sacrifice its time, its wealth, anything it has for the sake of Allah, for the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, to succeed in his mission. This person, the Sahabi or Sahabiya, has the only one so far at the time to receive a salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That position. That person has reached a level of Siddiqeen, levels of Iman. We know the Iman has 3 levels. There's Islam, there's Iman, and there's Ihsan. You know, the hadith, maybe all of you memorize it, who knows about it. When Jibreel alayhi salam came to teach the Sahaba what is the difference between Islam and Iman and Ihsan. Ihsan is the highest level of faith. Is as you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. If you don't, then He sees you. In other words, you reach a level that you don't need to go physically to heaven to see it with your own eyes. It's as if you see it here on earth. And those are few who has reached that level. Among them is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, that's why we call Siddiq. This is the level of Siddiqeen, the highest level. This woman was one of that category. That woman is Khadijah bint Khuwaylid ibn Asad radiallahu anha. She and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, they share from the father's side the 5th grandfather, Usayd. Basically, Quraysh in general, they share the 5th, the 6th, the 7th grandfather because they're basically from the same tribe. And they say from her mom's side, she shared the Prophet's grandfather, his 7th. So she is the only wife of the Prophet that she is so close to him in terms of family. And Khadijah radiallahu anha has such importance in the Prophet's life that no other woman, including Aisha radiallahu anha, has reached that. As a matter of fact, she said, I have never been jealous of any other Prophet's wife as much as I have been with Khadijah, although she was dead. She was not even alive. And we will, inshallah, today, if time permitted, we will try to squeeze it in 1 hour, 1 session. If not, we will do it in 2 sessions, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ when he was basically in his 20s, or 22, 23 they say, Khadijah, she was a businesswoman. She had married previously 2 men, and some they say they both died. She married the first one, and he died, and she didn't have. Some they say she has children with him. Others they say she didn't have. And then after that, she married the second one, and she had with him Hind ibn Abi Hala, father's. So I think she stayed with him. Either they say divorced or he died, whichever the version you take. After she has been a widow, she refused to marry anybody. And Khadijah was named before the Prophet has been already ordained as a prophet. In Jahiliyyah, they used to call her Tahira, the pure. And before we go to her life, let's go a little bit back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He selects some people. I think in Surah Imran it said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَى آدَمَ وَنُوحَ وَآلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَآلَ عِمْرَانَ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah has selected, chosen Adam, Noah, Al Ibrahim, Ibrahim and his progeny, the Prophet, and Al Imran. He meant to Maryam alayhi salam. So he selected. And for one reason or another one, he don't question that why. He knows why he selected that person over that person. He is the one who created, so he knows what's in your heart. Anyway, so he has selected those, and then at the same time, even the Ummah, the Prophet said, "Huwa ijtabakum." He has selected you, and we said that last time, that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen these people to live at the time of the Prophet. He chose them, the Sahabah. He didn't choose me or you to live back at the time. He chose those people. He knows why he chose them. And then even for Musa alayhi salam in Surah Taha, وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ, I have chosen you to receive the message. So for Musa. So there is this selection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people and tribes. And He has selected, even in Surah Al Imran, Allah said, وَقَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ. The Malaika, the angels, came to Maryam, peace be upon her, and they told her that Allah has chosen you and purified you. So He called her Tahira, like Khadijah, Tahira. وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ. And He has chosen you among all the people. And there is a verse of there is a hadith of the Prophet. He said that خَيْرُ نِسَائِهَا, the best women, Maryam alayhi salam. SubhanAllah, he starts with Maryam. وَخَيْرُ نِسَائِهَا Khadijah bint Khuwaylid. What it means is the best woman at the time, it was Mary, in her time. And the best woman in her time is Khadijah. There's another hadith. The Prophet said that, كَمُلَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ كَثِيرٌ, meaning that a lot of men has reached the maturity, meaning that they have been reached like being wise. So many. But among the women, only 4. He started with Maryam alayhi salam. He said Maryam bint Imran, and then the second one, Asiyah bint Hizam, Fir'aun's wife. The third one is Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, and the fourth one he said about his daughter Fatima bint Muhammad radiyallahu anha. So he even chose with Maryam alayhi salam before Asiyah bint Hizam, the wife of, although she came after her. So those are 4 women who has reached the level of being more like wise women, meaning almost they're complete. And we will see inshallah why when we study the Khadijah's life, and we will know why. She was subhanallah blessed with beauty. She was so beautiful. She was wealthy woman. She comes from a noble family. She was not a woman, maybe you are wealthy but you are not beautiful. Maybe you are beautiful, but you're not from known family. But she has combination of all of these things. And sometimes, especially, I won't say only the woman, but usually it tends to be from the woman, because a woman, first thing, it's her beauty, which attracts the man. And when she's beautiful, she may be at the expense of her, she's not, I won't say smart, but she's more be arrogant, because she knows, because she's beautiful, I mean, everybody is after her, for instance. Or if she is that smart, she becomes like tough. She, I'm smart, she will be neck to neck with men. She'll be like tough. If she comes from a noble family, she may think that this arrogance, I'm a noble family, you are nothing. So always when you have something, it may not be enough for you to be like Kamila, full, wise woman. Khadijah radiallahu anha, she has all those things. She was beautiful, she was wealthy, and she came from a noble family, and she is Kamila, she is Tahira, she is one of the women that she was, I won't say not only down to earth, but she has excelled in her mental capacity more than any man. And that's one of the reasons that the Prophet has never ever forgot her nor her love. That's why she has lived with him more than any other wife. 25 years with him, and she has never, there's all the books that you can read, the bios, nobody has ever mentioned that she has upsetted him. In 25 years, in that length of time with the Prophet, she has never made him upset. 15 years before the Bi'tha, 15 years before becoming a Prophet, and 10 years after that. Someone will say, well, he's a prophet. Yeah, we can say maybe the 10 years, but before that, the 15 years. Anything that pleases this man, she does it. Anything. Her goal is to make him happy. If you look at it, so she's making him happy at her own expense, at her time or joy, whatever. Khadijah, she never tell that. And we'll go through it in that one. So as I said, when the Prophet ﷺ, when he reached that age of 20 to 23, something like that, so there's different versions. Some they say, because she was so wise, she inherited some wealth from previous husband, the first one, and she is very wise when it comes to trade. She's so smart, so she select whoever to choose to trade for her. The Arab, they call it al-mudaraba. What they do is, we have the verse لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. They go trade the north and one the south 6 months. So they go to the north in Sham, caravan, and sometimes some people they take their own the goodies to trade, or sometimes they hire someone to do it on their behalf, and they split based on that agreement between them. So she used to do that. She used to select some people to trade on her behalf. Doesn't mean that she has hundreds of camels. She can have it's a caravan. She can have 2-3 camels full of maybe date or full of materials, regardless what she was trading at. At that time, the Prophet has already been known as a Sadiq al-Amin, the trustworthy, and someone that they can trust. So the reputation is already there. And being a smart businesswoman, she was looking for that right person. So somebody where they say she was the one who approaches him to hire him. Others they say his uncle Abu Talib, because he used to trade as well. So he went to her and said, do you mind to hire my son, because the father or the uncle, they used to call their kids as a son, and this is Arab by the way tradition. And she, because she knows about what the Prophet is about, who is this Prophet, she agreed. She was so happy that he will be the person that she will hire to lead this trade expedition. And then she has a servant called Maysara, and she asked Maysara to assist the Prophet in his journey and obey him. So when they went to Sham, Maysara observed few things that happens to the Prophet. And she asked him, if whatever, tell me after you come back. So he reported to her. Remember when we started the Seerah of the Prophet, we said this when he went to Sham, that the priest came and he saw some, verse they say, some of the trees that were bowing to the Prophet. Some cloud was passing over him, so to cover him from the heat of the sun. And there is a tree. There's some priest. He saw that this man, when he's laid down the tree, to take rest, he went to the Mesa. I said, "Who is this man?" He said, "This is Muhammad from Mecca." I said, "That a prophet, because this tree has never. Only prophets they have rest in this under this tree." So he has some signs. That remember when we started the verse last time. Muhammadun Rasulullah والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء, and then Allah described them. ذلك مثلهم في التوراة والإنجيل. The examples in the Torah and the Injil, the Bible, and we said that in the Bible and the one has been preserved. They have already been described who are these companions, prophet, and who is the prophet. He has the description. So he had that description who is the last prophet of the last time. So he saw that. So Maysara coming back to Mecca, he reported that to Khadijah. Said, "I have seen this man," and not only that, it's maybe the first time that she has gained so much, business, and she made so much money from hiring the Prophet. He was blessed. All the caravan he came with, he's the only who has been blessed with that. So that's some of the she started having this feeling towards him. She is a widow, and every single man, or not only the man, by the way, any man, the leaders of Quraysh, the top leaders. When she was without husband, they all went to ask for her hand, and she declined. Now she's around 37 years old. And she realized that this is the only man that I would like to be with. Stories has she either asked her sister Hala, or her friend Nafisa, or her servant Maysara to go and approach the Prophet, ask him if he wants to marry. Because she was called Tahira. It's usually it's a tradition in the Arab culture. Usually it's not a woman goes, to ask for the man. Nowadays, even to some extent, but I think that tradition is gone. She likes him, she go and that's it. Maybe force him to marry her, something like that. Marry me or shoot you. So, but back then, see.
I give you 1 month.
Okay, that's what it is. Give you 1 month, you give an answer. If not, you're dead. So what happened is, she asked him, contrary to the tradition of the culture back then. And the Prophet said, when the story said, let's see if Nafisa was the one, or Hala, her sister, he said, I don't have, what it takes to marry. She said, how about if we find you the one, she has everything, she's wealthy. She said, who? She said, Khadijah. Said, I don't, if she accepts, she's already. Then his uncle, Abu Talib, and Hamza, both they went to her uncle, because her dad was already dead at the time. It was Abu Asad. He was the one who, was representing Khadijah, and his uncle made a long speech, very known, that to praise the Prophet and who is the Prophet. I mean, his at the time it was considered only as his nephew. And the marriage happened, alhamdulillah. Now, when the Prophet married Khadijah radiallahu anha, if for us in our culture, we usually have, when we talk about love story, I think Romeo and Juliet comes first in mind. For the Arabs, maybe Qais wa Layla, Antar wa Abla. We have different in the Arab tradition. They have love stories.
Majnoon
Layla. That's Qais.
Yeah.
And but what happened is none of them end up with being married. By the way.
It's just a fling.
Okay.
They all died.
They're
Yeah.
young and
Yeah. You still live in that rosy picture of that love,
They
fantasy.
enjoy it. They're just.
So it's almost like you don't want them to get married. So just because you want to keep those sentiments, those feelings alive. But how about if they get married? Within maybe 2-3 months they divorce or they kill each other. That feeling keeps going, that the relation as it was before marriage still stays the same, will die. Statistically, it doesn't last that long. Change most of the time, unfortunately. Well, because now it's Tantawi has a beautiful saying. He's one of his books. He's a scholar from Syria. He passed, I think, a few years back. And mashallah, his writing is one of the best writing, especially literature. And he's a scholar in Sharia as well. So he was saying that if what's his name, Qais, for instance, because he was saying that, and he said if whatever he was saying about all this woman, if he married her, after that he will see her like she's like any other woman. There's no big difference. Then that thing will not stay. And even there's a funny story that Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he lives at the Umayyad at the time. He was saying that this scholar, this poet, her name I think Buthayna or something like that. He said, if she comes up, she shows herself, the moon will be shy away from her, because of her beauty. And I'm summarizing his poem. So Al-Hajjaj, when he saw her, he said to her, "You're not that great." I mean, I don't know why he used this verse about you that if you come up, the moon will shy away from you. You're nothing. I mean, just like you're not even that beautiful woman. So she said, well, because he used to be in charge of the Umayyad Empire, he was like military, or you call it, defense secretary in our time, for instance. She said he did not see me with the same eyes you see me with. So he saw me in a different eyes than you. You see me normal, but he didn't, and he died without them. So in other words, that feeling and all these things, does it last? And that's why when you read the Prophet's story with Khadijah radiallahu anha, it's the top of the love story. That feeling, that relationship, it never, not only did die, but it had even stayed after her death. Same. So now the Prophet, he's married to her, and that's why you have to see that why this woman has excelled all other women. That's why the Prophet said, 4 women, among them is Khadijah radiallahu anha. She has 4 daughters with him: Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, and Fatima. And she gave him a son called Al-Qasim. Scholars, they are debatable. Did they give him only 1 son, or 2 sons, or 3 sons? Is it Al-Qasim, Abdullah, Al-Tayyib, Al-Tahir? So I lean towards only the Al-Qasim, and the rest are nicknames. I have a nickname. I'm the paper Abdul Qadir, and then I'm known Rachid. So it's a tradition. And that's why he was called Abul Qasim. He was always called Abul Qasim. He said, you can have my name, but don't have my nickname. You cannot call Abul Qasim. Only the Prophet, he was called Abul Qasim. So he was known as Abul Qasim, even after the Bi'tha. Some of the Sahabah, they called him Abul Qasim. So she's the only woman who has kids with the exception of Mary al-Qibtiyya. He has Ibrahim, who died younger. So all his sons, they died young, babies, except the daughters. And they all died in his time, when he was alive, with the exception of Fatima. She died 6 months after he passed away. So she is the only woman who has all his progenies. They came from Khadijah radiallahu anha. While she was in charge of those kids, she was in charge of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Abu Talib has many kids, and he was not that wealthy man. So what happened is his brothers, including, they took some of his sons to take care of them, so that they easy the burden on him. So Ali ibn Abi Talib was living with the Prophet, and she almost like she raised him. Now she has her son, from her previous Abi Hala. His name is Hind. By the way, Hind, in Arabic there's a lot of names that it's for man and woman. Hind is for man and as well as for woman. They can, like Rabia. Rabia it's for woman and for a man as well. So in Arab they can use some names. It's used for both men and women. So Hind, he was the step-son of the Prophet ﷺ. And if you remember at Uhud, he was the one who defended him. And he's the one who has this long, if you go to Sahih Muslim and all that, you'll find a long hadith that he described. He's most of the scholars that take that hadith. He described the Prophet exactly, physically. His height, his color of his hair, where he has his hair, his eyes, his eyeballs, his cheeks, everything, his beard. So and even his chest. So that long had him because he was raised with the Prophet, and he has been. So he has the one who has described the Prophet how he looks like physically. So now he has. So he can. And then she has Ayman. Ayman he was the babysitting of the Prophet when he was living with his mom. So and Ayman, he called her, she is my mom after my mom. So imagine how many kids and family she's taking care of. Now, the common sense, and this is that's why I said this subject, I wish I have a lot of sisters. I told brother, they should take the examples of al-Mu'mineen, the wives of the Prophet. They are like rules and regulations and formula that we should look up and apply it when you read their bios, the hayat. Now you have this woman, she will have enough with her kids. The first thing she said, why are you bringing your cousin? I don't have time for him. I mean, that's the first thing. I mean, I have only 5 or 4 kids that belong to Edgar. And then add to that, Zayd ibn Haritha, that the Prophet he used to love. Her cousin, it was, I think Ibn Huzam, he bought it for her. And she saw the Prophet, how he was, so much, attached to the Prophet. So she gave it to him. So she has almost 8-7 kids, to take care of at the same time. When the Prophet right now is in 38, 39, 30, 40, some they say, before that, but basically let's take at least one story so we can, elaborate on that. He used to take like 1 month, especially in Ramadan, and then he, takes whatever he takes to supply, to go to Ghar Hira for someone who is healthy, young, like Brother Omar. It will take him 1 hour to go to it. For me, maybe take 2 hours. So it was so steep and everything, and he used to go to the Prophet there. So others they say for 10 days. Some they say the whole month of Ramadan. He finished the food. He goes back.
It's the cave.
Yeah, the cave, Hira. Yes, yeah. It's very narrow, very narrow. He used to go there for meditation. He started to feel, although he was, there's, remember we said when he was to pass by so many stones, so many streets, he can hear, they say, Salamu alaikum, O Prophet of Allah. He turns around, he doesn't see anything. So all this, we call it al-irhasat, signs, to prepare him, so he will see that. And then he used to see dreams. When he see a dream, the next day, he will tell his family, Fatima, Khadijah, Zainab, and his daughters, I have seen, for instance, he will say, okay, your cousin will come today and will give us, let's say, a bowl of dates. And then all of a sudden, her cousin will come and show her. So whatever he used to see as a dream, it will come life the next day. So he used to describe it. Those are signs, we call it al-irhasat, that he is a prophet. And he used to hear the stone, the trees. They used to, when he passed by, they said, Assalamu alaikum, O Prophet of Allah. Now, and it happens that he chose the month of Ramadan to go for this meditation. After he is, the supply finished, he goes back. Khadijah, give him whatever, and then he goes back. Now we have to pause here, and then we have to reflect on this action of Khadijah radiallahu anha. Now you have a woman, she is overwhelmed with raising those kids. She is overwhelmed of supporting the family, and yet you have this man, alayhi salatu salam, he just go for, if we take it like that, for relaxation, for retreat, for vacation. You go and you leave me by yourself, by myself. Maybe the first time. But I mean, that's too much. I know they argue. And that's why Khadijah radiallahu anha, the Prophet, she has never, ever complained, nor she has tried, to make, whatever makes him happy, whatever, support, whatever he wants and he loves, she used to be behind him. No, that all his wife, one way or the other, they have made comments. Remember that it's in the verse of Allah, Ya Nisa al-Nabi, lastunna ka ahadin min al-Nisa, you are all the wives of the Prophet, you're not like any other women, you're different. Allah has chosen you. And then after that, that they were, some of them, they were complaining. Remember we said in the Seerah that they have, it's a little bit hardship, and the Prophet was upset. He secluded and he gave them the option if you want to stay or divorce. Khadijah radiallahu anha, the first thing she can tell, this guy is abusing me, taking all my wealth, and he's lazy and he's doing this.
He leaves
and
for
he's
a
less. I'm supporting with my money and all that. That's the natural thing, right? Khadijah radiallahu anha, she has never, ever, not even she had not even thinking. And that's why the Prophet has, when Aisha, she made a comment, and we will go with that, and how he answered back to Aisha about those comments. So he goes and comes back. And Khadijah, she support him. She sent his slave, or sometimes they said, which I doubted, because it's too hard for her to go in the evening. So she gave him, to support him. After he comes back, he made the tawaf, and he goes back to Khadijah. And the next year, and then now he's 40 years old. On the 27th of night of Ramadan, he received the revelation, which we all know. Now, again, another pause in Khadijah radiallahu anha. One time I even made khutbah about this hadith, and it just show you this woman, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said salam to her. I mean, she's the first one. Few of them, but she's the first one. So when the Prophet came back frightened, Zammiluni, cover me, she didn't ask why. Right away, she did what he was asking. The first thing, if it comes, why do you want to cover? What happened to you? Tell me something. We said this is maybe the best woman. She can, she wants to support him, right? She will ask him, what happened to you? And this, even that, Khadijah, she didn't do that. She didn't even ask. Zammiluni, I'll cover you. Tell me later if you want to. After the Prophet, he felt, alayhi salatu salam, so he told her what happened to him. I had this slide, he came, and he tied me, hold me so tight, and he told me read, and we know all the story. Now we don't want to go to that. But now we have to see what Khadijah radiallahu anha said. And that's why, subhanAllah, she said that she excelled, even among the Sahabah. She said, when he was saying that a Prophet, maybe, if a normal woman said, I think because you are lonely, it was too dark for so many nights, you may have get illusions or something like that. Delirious or hallucinations, whatever. Or she also said, what? Well, maybe there was only some ghost and things like that, and let it go. She didn't talk about what he has seen. She talks about his character. She switched it from what he has seen, what happened to him, straight to give him this confidence. And that's why he said, the first one who has supported me. After he has already told her what happened to him, he told her, she switched directly to his character. Wallahi lan yukhzika Allahu abad. Allah will not disown you. Why? Because you help the poor, you take care of your guests, you help the needy, all these good things that only someone who is that caliber can do it. Therefore, you are a prophet. That was not a devil or something. That was an angel. Because people who have such quality, they are not. It's not. You can have one. Maybe you are good and generous. Like I told you, Hatim al-Ta'i, the one I told you, but he's so famous that he's so generous that people take example of him. And his son and his daughter. Remember the Seerah? He was known as being generous, but maybe he was not known of. And that's why he didn't, that mushrik, he was not going for the haqq, for the truth. So the Prophet, she saw all these qualities in him, that not only you have done this, and every single quality and virtue she was talking about the Prophet he has, it was only for others, nothing for himself. It wasn't like, you do this for us or something for our family. You do it for the guests, you do it for the needy, you do it for the poor, you do it for whoever. So anything you do is for the society at large. You do every single thing to help the rest. And then after that, she's the one who took him to her cousin, Waraq ibn Nawfal. Waraq ibn Nawfal at the time, he was old, he was blind, he was known as someone who has been a Christian. Him and his, when they were young, and they, remember I think your brother asked me about why Ali doesn't, bow, Ali salam and all that. Waraq ibn Nawfal, he's among that, he didn't bow to any idol. Him and his friend, they couldn't accept, there's, these idols are God. So they went to the north where the Christians, we call it now Sham, and his friend, he didn't accept Christianity, nor he has accepted the pagan religion. So he stayed neutral, and he was like Hanafiya, but he took Christianity. So he has learned some Christianity there. When she took him to Waraq ibn Nawfal, she took the Prophet. Imagine, not only that she's supporting him, but she's giving him this confidence. Let's go to this person, and he will tell you. I mean, it just shows you that this woman, this great woman in our history, Khadijah radiallahu anha. That's why she's so wise. She's very wise. She knows how to put things in its place. She's not like, she's a woman like any other woman. She has emotions. She has love. She loves the Prophet a great deal. As a matter of fact, it was her love. And but at the same time, she was able to use her brain correctly as to, she could have, hug him, honey, everything is okay, don't worry, things like that. But no, she was even going further than that, give him physical or something to support that what you have. We'll go ask this guy who reads the book, from the people of the book, Waraqa. And then one boy described me this. When he described it to him, said, this is, we call it Namus. Namus means Jibreel alayhi salam. Wahy?
Namus.
Said, this is what has been revealed to Moses. And if I am still, I'm alive, I know I'm younger, when your people will force you out, I will defend you. So that was so surprise for the Prophet. They will force me out. They called me the Sadiq al-Amin. They called me the trustworthy. Everybody loves me. What was the reason for them to force me out? Said every single Prophet who has came with the same thing, he has faced that. And now we go a little bit back. When the Prophet has received the revelation, as a man, what happened is, and this is another lecture for our sisters. When there is when the man usually has an issue, barely he consult with his wife. Like the Prophet ﷺ, he could have gone to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, his friend. He could have gone to his uncles, Abu Talib, Hamza, Al-Abbas, they're the leaders. He could go, rather than go to, but he chose to go to Khadijah. It just shows you that this woman, she had made it so easy for him to share everything with her. Because the moment he told her what he had seen, she right away jumped to show him his qualities. As you deserve that. You are the Prophet of Allah that people are talking about. He didn't go to his friend. And what happened is most of the time when you have an issue, you go to your friend. As sometimes even for the woman, she doesn't consult her husband, she go to share with her friend. Something happens to me like that, and rather than she share with his close partner. The Prophet ﷺ, he chose Khadijah radiallahu anha, his partner, to share. And not only she supported him, but she even took him to Waraqa, who was a Christian at the time, and he said, yes, this is what Moses has revealed, and you are the prophet of the last time, the end of the time. And then he told him what's going to happen to you. So when he told him that this is what you're going to face, Khadijah, she will think, well, we're going to go through turbulence right now. We're going to be facing hardship, and I have kids to feed, I have interests, I have wealth. I'll be losing those things. I have, at least, how about my daughters? They're not even boys. They can take care of their daughters. They need. So all these things, which is natural, which is normal. Anybody goes through that. So the blueprint or the roadmap is already clear. Was clear for her that this is what's going to happen to you guys. and she chose to stand by him, alayhi salatu wasalam, with every single thing that she has, even it has hurt her in her, with especially feeling about her daughters. They've been divorced because of that. So she stayed with the Prophet, and then the Prophet right now he's subhanallah. When you read her story and read the Prophet's story, that's why I said this is the best love story that you can think of, because it's so pure. He is 40. When he married her, he was 25, and she's 40. 15 years difference. Oh, by the way, the Arabs at the time, they didn't have an issue. Even though the age was not a major issue. This marrying the, but usually it was from the woman. Yeah, but even with the woman, but for her, she is 40 and she is marrying a 25 years old man. Now, when he received the revelation, he's 40, she's 55.
Wow.
She's getting to her 60s. I mean, even physically, she is not when she is 40. Even when you're 40, still, mashallah. But 55 getting to 60, I mean, with the hardship, you especially when you bear kids, physically it will change your body. But that love to this woman has never changed in the Prophet's life. Even when she is 65, when she died. So he's 40 now. He has the revelation. She's 55. And guess what? At 55, she's going to be facing the hardship. Remember, when he was before the Prophet, there was no hardship. There was no persecution. There was no torture. There is no, boycott. They boycotted them for 3 years, and that's why she died. So it was everything. So now, at 55, you start thinking, man, well, take it easy. You may be the Prophet, but let's leave me alone with my children, all that. I'm not young as I used to be, and at least that's what. If a lady she does it at that age, a lot of people will give her excuse. That they say, he's going to go to jail or he's going to face this, and she has kids to raise now. But Khadijah radiallahu anha, she has. That's why I said she's the first woman who has sacrificed for Islam with her wealth, with her time. She's the one who has prayed, the first one to pray behind the Prophet ﷺ before than any other Sahabi. She's the first one who has accepted Islam before than any man. We have Noah alayhi and Lot alayhi salam. Noah alayhi salam wa khanatahum. A lot of people, they not love, but few they do it on purpose. They say khanatahum, meaning they cheated on them. No, the khanatahum, they didn't accept their message. They didn't follow them as a prophet. Noah alayhi salam and Lot, their wives didn't. But here, this woman, she, completely sacrificed everything, and not only that, never ever, you find in all the books of they about Khadijah, not a single one has mentioned that Khadijah radiallahu anha, she has made like tired or something. Never. But as it's the other way around. When the Prophet he will come he was tired. She made all her effort to elevate those things from him. And this is another lesson. When you have, it's not all the time, but when you have for the sisters, especially when they're married, or the one who is going to be married. For the one who is going to go get married, Khadijah radiallahu anha, she was not looking for specific, physical things, how the man looks like. Meaning he has to have, wide shoulders, 6 abs, dark hair, right, well, 6-pack, whatever. And then he has, what's his name, gel or something like that. He's like, that was not the characteristics. And the same thing for the man. He was not like, she has blue eyes, she has tall, thin, all that. She was looking for virtues, characteristics, ethics, characters. Whoever filled those characters, no matter how he looks like, she is going to accept him. So the Prophet, he was a Sadiqul Amin, and she was a Tahira, the pure. Guess what? That's how, when you start this one, he was the Sadiqul Amin, because when she married him, he was not a prophet at the time. And she was a Tahira, called the Tahira, the pure, like Maryam alayhi salam. So You have, he was, the Prophet, when he, she has all, she fulfilled, she's beautiful, she has, not only that, she's a wise woman, and she was looking for someone who fulfilled all these requirements. And she's the one who asked, she was asked, she asked to marry that. So the same thing, go back when the Prophet, ﷺ, when, he's going to be facing the hardship. He has been, he received the revelation, and she's going to be facing those things. And all what's going to come later after that, she has not put her her interest ahead of the interest of the Prophet. Whatever his interest, it lays, that's my interest. Even though it looks like, if you look at it from our own normal, well, he's abusing her. And that's why, when he was, when the da'wah and all that, she's 55, man. She's not like a young woman. She knows he has a huge responsibility towards the society. So my job is to help, to support that message. So she, not only she has supported him, but she was sharing the message with him. She was sharing the responsibility with him. And that's why with her own wealth, she was helping the poor as well. She was conveying the message. She herself get to that, do what he was doing. Even though she was 55. I mean, in our time, she's getting to retirement. What
at the beginning of Revelation,
yeah.
55. Yeah.
So now, the years passed, and because of the Prophet, his da'wah and all that, Quraysh decided it's too much. We cannot accept that this man, because remember in the story what they did is, they asked Banu Hashim, this tribe in Banu Abdul Muttalib, you give us this man, and we kill him, and then we will give all the, the blood, whatever you ask. So the Abu Talib and Banu Hisham, they refused to do that. So there's the economic embargo on the Prophet's tribe, Banu Hashim and Banu Shab. It's like an area, it's like a web in Mecca, and they were by themselves. And the decision was made that we do not trade with them. Nobody will. We don't even marry them, and that's why his two daughters, Ruqayya and Zainab, were married. No, sorry, Ruqayya and Kulthum were married to the sons of Abu Lahab, and he asked them to divorce them. So now, guess what? The hard thing for the woman when she received her daughter being divorced. So he forced his two sons to divorce the Prophet's daughters. So they went back with their mom. And this is, you can understand that you may absorb the hardship yourself, but you don't want it to be, disseminated to your families, like you want, your family to suffer with you. That's why a lot of people, they said, I'd rather go to jail, rather than my mom, my dad, my brothers, they go through, Well, Khadijah radiyallahu anha, not only herself, but even her family shared in that. And that's why when she was asked, because she is from the noble family, she's not from Banu Hisham, so you don't have to. She refused to live by herself. She joined the tribe with the Prophet, where she will face hardship as well, herself. Well,
do you think that she might have had a prescient vision that this young man would eventually receive the revelation?
That's what they are
Would
saying.
that be a possibility?
There is. I didn't want to touch on that because we don't have authentic evidence to support that. There's two events it happens. One is because her cousin was from the people of the book. He knew that the time of the last prophet came, and they said he shared that with her. So she had that. There's another event. It happens. The Quraysh, they have a party. It's like, let's say New Year, whatever. And some women, they were among them. And this Jewish trade, he came from Medina, and he saw them, said, Ya Banu, Ya Nisa'a Quraysh, or the women of Quraysh, the time of the last prophet is very close. If any one of you, if you are still alive, don't lose the chance to marry him. So what they did, they took the stone and they threw stones on him because it was like shameful. You asked her to go and ask Mary something like that. And Khadijah was among them. She was young. She's the only woman didn't throw the stone. She smiled. So they said those are the two information she already have, but there is no evidence authentic to support that. It's there. But what is known is she is so smart as a businesswoman, and she was known, as I told you before, she's a pure, meaning that she doesn't put herself in very situation that people they look at her down. She was always using her mind and all that, because she was blessed with the three bounties: beauty and wealth and family, name. What she was looking for, for someone who has a good criteria at you, because what she was looking for, someone to take care of her business. And the Prophet, who was known as being that person. And when she married him, she was so close to him, she has been exposed to who is he as a husband. Like, most of the things that's, when you go to this, by the way, you go to the books of the Sahih al-Bukhari, he started with the beginning of the revelation. And he started with this hadith, and he started that Khadijah, radiallahu anha, she was describing him, the 5 things that she tried to describe him, it's only for what he did for others. Like, someone who sacrificed everything, he was only looking for the good and the benefit of the others. He was not selfish, he was not looking for himself. Let's say if you have, unfortunately it happens all the time, when you are married, and then tomorrow you are, someone asks you to go to stay with him, like you go to be with him in the court, like because he's in it. You go there, and then the next day someone asks you that I have this man who has committed some sort of injustice to me. Can you go and help me? You go there, and then this person who needs something to support him financially, you do that, and then all of a sudden you have someone knocks on your door and he said I'm a guest. You do that. After a while, it becomes tiring to the wife. You have no time for me. Everything for this, your friend, this, and that. That's the complaint. She didn't do that. But she was observant. That observation, because she was so wise. I told you there's 4 women among them. That's why Allah said in the Quran, I think in Al Imran, when Allah said, when the malaika, the angels came, وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ لِمَرْيَمَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ, selected you and purified you and selected you among all the women, because Maryam has a criteria that no other woman has at the time, similarly to Khadijah radiallahu anha. And this, subhanallah, Allah always, when there's a prophet, He put things for him, to assist him. Seerah, her maid, was there to observe those miracles and then to report it to Khadijah. So Allah put Seerah, although but he comes back and he will tell him what he has seen. That he didn't see something else. So this was basically based on observation because of her. Of course, like I said, other materials which I really don't take it as very authentic as to support that she had that information, because if she had it, I would say almost every woman would share that and would look for something like that. If Khadijah has that information that he will be the prophet, something like that, I want to go. So other women too, they will be after there's a prophet. Myself, I will look for him.
I think a lot of women would think it'd be very terrifying.
Yeah, to be married to a prophet.
Right.
So when Khadijah radiallahu anha, the Quraysh, they tried to do the embargo and boycott them, she decided to be with the prophet and the companion and everybody else. Now, in these 3 years, you have to understand that...
this was 3 years before Hijrah?
This is after that the Hijrah came up. This is the last, after that you have the Isra al-Mi'raj and Hijrah. What happened is, she suffered by her 2 daughters being divorced. And alhamdulillah, Ruqayya, that Uthman radiallahu anha married her. And she suffered another, hardship because they migrated to Abyssinia, Uthman and his daughter. So they went to. So now not only she's divorced her daughter, but now she's exiled to another place.
So Uthman
married Ruqayya.
Married, okay.
Yeah. So that's why they call him Uthman Dur Nurayn, the one who has 2 lights, because he married 2 daughters of the Prophet, Ruqayya and Kulthum. When Ruqayya died, he married Kulthum. So he's Ali married Fatima, and he married 2. So now she has her daughter. She migrated to another place. Now they're facing all this hardship. They don't have any of this support. Even when Abu al-As, he said, we used to, he went to a place and he was urinating, then he can hear the noise, so he took it and it was a piece of almost like leather or gel, and he went and he cleaned it and he has ground it and he has eaten it because it showed you that the hunger. Then the boycott was abolished, one way or the other. There's stories for that. We don't go through that. And what happened is, after that,
How long was the boycott?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. Now, in these 3 years, again, you could at least hear Khadijah saying, "Oh, you know what? I could have been, I should have, I had the easy life. What I have done to myself." Well, guess what? She's in her 60s. She's getting to 65. So she's the less she could, what I have done. Even that, she didn't say a single word. She is 65 and the Prophet is 50. 15 years difference. And she has, although she was going all those streets hardship, and she even asked her nephew, I think his name is Muzaham, he brought her the food, and she was distributing among the people who were living with her. But she has never in her entire life, being married to the Prophet for 25 years, she has never thought about herself, not a single day. Or even for her, it was only for the Prophet's welfare, even before the revelation. Now, the year that she is dying, one miracle happened. Jibreel alayhi salam came down, and he said, "Prophet of Allah, Khadijah, she's coming with some food with her hand." He said, because she was coming, he said to her, "Aqri'ha salam," say salam from Allah and from me. And that was the year that she passed away. What happened is, he could have waited. She goes back. She's leaving. She's going to Allah. Because right after that, they say, it was like, few months, few weeks, wasn't even a year. She passed away. So she received the salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from Jibreel. So the Prophet told her, "Khadijah, Almighty Allah is saying salam and Jibreel to you." Because she is so wise. Look how she answered back. She didn't say, "Wa alayhi salam," salam to Allah and to Jibreel. Because usually when you say salam, if I tell you salam and you tell me wa alaykum salam, that means I'm asking peace upon you or peace with you from anything that harms you. Meaning that I'm asking Allah to protect you and to give peace. So how can you say Allah protect him? So that's why she said, "Huwa salam." He is the salam. But wa ala Jibreel alayhi salam, and you alayka salam, and may be peace on Jibreel and Muhammad. But he is the salam. He is the peace. She didn't say that.
So she said.
So huwa salam wa ala Jibreel salam wa alayka ya Rasulullah salam. It just shows you that she was not idiot. She didn't go to any school, by the way. It just, like I said, Allah has chosen that how, some people have that capacity, even how she did them. And then guess what? And he gave her this good news. And some scholar, he said, "Wabashirha," give her news that she has bait, a castle, a chateau, like they say in France. Min qasab. Qasab, they, how can they say? It's made of an empty pearl. Bring any architect. We have an architect here, Bob. He can be. How can you build a castle from a pearl? It's made of pearl, empty. لا صخب ولا صخب فيه ولا نصب. What does it mean? No shouting and no tired, because she has never shouted in the face of the Prophet. So the reward in this, she will never hate anybody shout. Wala nasab, and that's it. She will not get any, she will never get tired. There's, whatever, now it's for her time, for her to rest. She's going to rest. That river. So Allah has given her Ubay ibn Ka'b, one of the great reciter of the Quran, when he heard the Prophet told